Hello, Anur. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Asad? How's your weekend going?
I am perfectly fine. It's just that my weekend is a bit slow,
hmm
but yeah, I mean, it's good. What's your weekend plans, by the way? How did your weekend go?
So nothing. Just I just basically chill on weekends because like pura week aap kaam karte ho, and then you have 2 days. So like all of these 5 days they go in a blur, like oh jaldi jaldi khatam ho gaya, and then weekend you're like okay finally I get 2 days, but week guzarta nahi hai aur weekend jaldi guzar jata hai. So you have to like you're just a bit irritated कि like kahan gaye ye 2 दिन. So yeah. Just the
Yeah,
late weekend and just playing and just enjoying, chilling, Netflix, spending time with my cat and yeah. So
awesome, awesome. So Netflix पे क्या देख रहे हैं आप? Like, what would you recommend कि यार कोई बहुत अच्छी चीज़ है? Like anything, movie.
अभी तो the thing is that I've run out of all of the shows now. So मैं आज अब मेरा basically 2 दिन से यही हो रहा है कि like I go to Netflix, I scroll अच्छा ये भी देखना है, ये भी देखना है, okay I like this, okay I'll watch this, watch that, and then I spend 2 to 3 hours just scrolling, and then I end up not watching anything, and I'm just frustrated, and I'm like okay now I'll sleep. So
Yeah,
this is one thing, and then again I'm also reading a book and all of that, so that is also like a bit distracting for me. I was like okay chalo, I don't want to watch a show, I'll just read a book. So yeah.
awesome. Which book are you currently reading, if I may ask?
Yeah, so this is something that I'm reading, and it's different than what I usually read. So it is Cosmos by Carl Sagan, and it talks about like galaxies and how like stars and suns and how human evolution and how science is basically helping us and all of that. It's not something that I generally read. It's something that I've started exploring, and I was okay. Let's explore this genre too, because I'm not into like educational books and all of that. But okay, just try. Let's maybe try with one book, and it's a very difficult book to start with. If anybody is starting it, it's difficult to sit through first chapter, but once you do it, then you'll start liking second chapter, the third chapter, and so on. So it's also a bit of a journey for me, something new that I'm trying on a weekend, and also it's a bit difficult for me to understand the science and all of, because I'm a designer, bro. Like, why would I understand science and all of that? So it's a bit overwhelming, but I'm enjoying the experience.
Awesome, awesome. So, Manur, before we jump into this curious conversation, what I would love you to do is introduce yourself for the audience, a very brief introduction, and then just put a spotlight on your journey. Your like, how did you get into the design and stuff like that.
Okay, so everybody knows my name by now. So I'm Mahnoor, and I am basically a senior product designer at Beam.ai. But your question, like regarding your question, how I landed into design, my growth was very non-linear. I never wanted to become a designer. I never wanted to be in a design field. I wanted to basically pursue eco and math, and that's what I took in my O levels and A levels. I used to study math and economics and all of that business stuff and everything. But then like life happened, because I'm also like someone who gets very like I get freaked out when somebody's like testing me and everything. So I freaked out, and I know I couldn't get into my university. So I was at the brink of a gap year. I was like, okay, now I'm taking a gap year. And like I'm just like when you were a student जो O levels A levels से university जा रहा होता है ना, you are very like you are very naive, and you feel like okay यार gap year है, you're gonna be left behind, आपके आपने दोस्त पीछे हो जाओगे, you're not gonna graduate in the same year as they are gonna graduate. So it comes with a lot of overwhelming experiences, and very like it was very negative experience for me. But then and but then eventually like I had to accept that I will take a gap year now. I will be basically just doing nothing in this year, in this 1 year, and I will be just looking at my friends. They are going to the university, they have a social circle, and I will be just sitting at my home and doing nothing. So I was just mentally prepared. Catch a gap year to lena hi lena hai, okay. I cried a lot, and like but then like my mom being my mom, she's a very ziddi, like that kind of a woman. She's like, okay, if you're even taking a gap year, let's try something new. Let's learn something new. So why don't you go to IBS and just stay there for a year, and then maybe in the meantime you reapply to the same university, you give your exams again, you get the grades that you wanted to, and you will also learn something in the process. You'll make new friends, and you'll have that thing that I feel you feel like that you will be basically just where you feel like okay you were FOMO ho raha tha aapko just pe. So and I basically questioned my mom, like, listen, I'm not a creative person. Why should I go to IBS? Because I always thought it like IBS is all about art and all of that, and artists hain, painting karte hain, ye karte hain, wo karte hain. So I was like, I'm not a creative person. I can't go there. Like, I will not fit in. I will not gel in. My mind does not work like they work. Like, unka dimag kaam karta hai. My mind works like, oh, problem, solution, all of that kind of stuff, business stuff, economics type of stuff. Ye log bahut artisty log honge. I will not be able to gel in. But she's like, no, you will go. I know you will be able to do it. And मजे की बात ये थी कि like it was just end moment में the applications were getting closed. The day applications were getting closed, I applied for that. और 2 दिन में I had to give my test and everything, and I gave my interview, and I told my mom, listen, I'm not going to get in. I failed the interview, and I didn't do good. And IBS is also known for like harsh interviews and harsh environments and everything. And I was already into a mental position where I was like, okay, I am taking gap here, I'm negative, I can't do anything, I'm not achieving anything in life and all of that. So that interview also like messed up my mind. Ab to kuch karna hi, theek hai? But then surprisingly I got in, and I was like, okay, now I got in, now I have to go. And it's the first year, it's the foundation year. Everybody's doing the same thing. You're just learning 3D, technical design, basic design, and everything. And you're learning drawing and all of that. First year, I was struggling a lot. I did not know what to do. I did not know, okay, acha, in logo se baat kaise karte hain? Like everybody has some kind of a favorite artist in their mind. I never had a favorite artist. I was just like, this is not me, and I was just mentally struggling there. But at the same time, I was also done with eco and math, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to reapply. I don't want to reapply. I don't want to give these exams again. And I was just in a position after a semester, like, bro, like, what to do? What do I do now? And I remember in that, I think jab hamare, so at the end of your first year, you have to choose your majors. Like, you have to do graphic designing, you have to do textile designing, you have to do architectural designing, and all of that. So I wanted to do communication designing because I didn't know architecture, I didn't know textile, I didn't know anything. इंटीरियर नहीं आता था, कुछ नहीं आता था. आई जस्ट न्यू कि अच्छा कम्युनिकेशन में कुछ करना है. अब कम्युनिकेशन में ग्राफिक मुझे नहीं करना बिकॉज आई वांट टू बी डिफरेंट. आई डोंट वांट टू डू ग्राफिक डिजाइन, ऑल ऑफ दैट. आई वांट टू लर्न समथिंग न्यू. Media, I was like, I can't do photography and videography and everything. I can't do that. So in that moment, my teacher basically introduced us to UI UX designing. We were the first batch of Pakistan that actually studied UI UX for the 4 years. So he came in and he said, listen, this is one of, it was called interaction designing. We call it UI UX, but it's actually interaction design. Yeah. So he came and he said, this is something that we are basically introducing in our university. Why don't you try this? And all I knew was that I had one skill, which is problem solving skills, because I love math, I love eco, it's all about problem solving. And I was like, okay. And my teacher told me it's not typical creativity and all of that. It's about understanding problems and then providing solutions to it. I was like, okay, this is something I want to do. I don't know if it is going to help me or not in future, but I'm good at problem solving. So I'll just take a deep dive in it and I'll just blindly get into it. Because ek to kisi ne bhi nahi kiya hua tha Pakistan mein se, it was something new. So I didn't have people to go to and talk to, okay, acha, okay, like, should I do it, should I not do it, is it worth it, is it not worth it, all of that. So it was basically a leap of faith that I took. Second year, I basically went in, I was lost. Third year, I was lost. And to point, my teachers also questioned me, like, what are you doing here? Like, what are you trying to do here and all of that? I'm just like, but the only thing, and I feel like I get this feedback a lot from a lot of peers, is that मैं कोई भी चीज़ करती हूँ, I do with an immense amount of hard work. I give it my best, and then I just like, okay, I will just do whatever I want to do. एक जो भी है best देना है. अगर नहीं करना तो बिल्कुल नहीं करना, वरना करना है तो बिल्कुल best देना है. So I think the only thing that got me throughout IBS was my hard work, and was just like I was still not passionate about design. I was still not passionate about, oh, I want to do this and all of that. Like, I could see my peers passionate about, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. All of that. I was not passionate about it. I was just like, okay, I just want to do, I'll just get through it. That's it. And fourth year में मैंने जाके, because like second year में it is not how we were taught. It's not about how you were typically taught. I was just like मैं दरवाजे खोल बंद कर रही थी. I was just looking at my stoves and all that, because we were trying to understand the mental models and how people interact with these things. When we were not looking at digital things, we were looking at the physical things around us. So I was like, where am I? I was just thinking about, oh, मैं तो apps बनाऊंगी, मैं websites बनाऊंगी and all of that, and I was just not doing that. So I was really questioning everything. But then fourth year में when we started doing my thesis and everything, I realized that, okay, this is something that I wanted to do. This is something that I am enjoying now. So at the end of the fourth year, when I graduated, I was like, okay, I think I graduated from the correct university. Okay, this is something that I wanted to do. Went into, I also started doing my job early on during my university. So I was working remotely for a US company and all of that. And that was my first job in, I think, third year. And then fourth year, when I was giving my thesis, I had another job So I was practically doing two things together, also giving my thesis. So this is one thing that I basically multitasking मैंने बहुत learn की यहाँ पे and everything. And then as soon as I graduated, I landed into Beam AI. And this was a fairly new space for me because it was AI. And at that moment, it was, I think, 2023. उस वक्त AI इतना नहीं हुआ था, इतना it was not that much of a, oh, it's AI, oh, it's like trending. It was not. It was a new thing. It was emerging. It was, I think not, I don't know, emerging internationally, but emerging in Pakistan. It was just new for me. I haven't, मुझे कभी नहीं पता था what is AI, what is all of that, artificial intelligence. And my company, my company is all about AI. So imagine me learning very जो बिल्कुल traditional apps and all of that, coming from that background. I was thrown into AI space. And I was like, okay, now I don't have any precedents. Now I don't have any, inspirations to go back to and see, okay, how are they doing it? How are they solving this problem? So it was a very difficult journey for me there because I had to navigate, okay, maybe this is working, maybe this is not working. Okay, should I do this? Should I not do this? So it was very trial and error for me. But now, mashallah, I've built this company for 3 years now. So I think I've made my progress there. And my growth is just all about like, oh, this is working, this is not working, this is working, this is not working. It's just all about trial and error. It's not about like, oh, I want to do this. So yeah, this has just been my journey now.
Awesome. Very interesting. Because again, the trial and error actually came from even when you were deciding your profession as well. So you tried out a lot of things and then you got what you wanted to do, either by experimenting and all that. And then you channelize that, and now it's currently again happening to your solutions as well. So which one is working is probably working because of the circumstances, and you also have like the insights of the solutions that are not working. So awesome. So yeah. So currently you are, I think, at the managerial role, and again, what do you think a formal design education, it can be like any other field, but does formal design education helps? Yeah, nahi. What do you think?
So it is a good question, I must say, and I do not have a specific answer for it. Like, you should get it, you should not get it. I think what I can say, it is good to have a mix of both. I can start with, so on a manager role, if I'm expanding my team and if I'm looking for someone to join my team and basically grow with us and everything, during this process, it is also important that how you package yourself and how you present yourself. So when I basically opened the role for design at my company, I got a lot of CVs. I got a lot of answers because I also मैंने बहुत सारे questions भी डाले थे उस application के अंदर, and a lot of people applied, but it's just that how they package themselves in the first impression, and I was just basically saying, no, okay, I don't want this, I don't want that. And I feel like their design education helps because these are small things, like how you create your CV. Is things aligned or not? Left aligned हुई है, कुछ चीज़ें center aligned हुई है, okay, fonts क्या use हुए हैं, is it readable, is it not readable? And that basically speaks volumes about, because again, CV is also, you're technically designing a solution, or you're technically basically empathizing with the people who जिनके लिए आप apply कर, right? You have to keep them in your mind. Okay, will they be able to read it? Will they be able to understand who I am? Is my profile speaking enough about me? Because again, you're not meeting them pehle. You have to basically present yourself through a paper, and you have to present it in a manner that they understand your skills, they understand who you are as a person and all of that, and then comes the interview part, correct? So you have to really empathize with them. Okay, is the font too big? Is it left aligned? Is the information that I've structured in my CV, is it making a sense hierarchical wise, information wise? Is it making sense or not? Is it too long? Maybe my CV इतना बड़ा paragraph लिख दिया, the जो बंदा hire कर रहा है वो बोर हो जाएगा, because again, you are in a startup space. You are not even a startup space. You are in a very corporate space, and you don't have time to sit through all of the CVs and इतनी लंबी explanations पढ़ो and everything. You just have to basically skim through it. Okay, ये keywords and all of that, and you have to basically make a decision. Okay, whether you want to move forward with this person for an interview or not. So how you package yourself, how you present yourself really matters, and that I feel like design education really helps you, because it teaches you the basics of design, visual design, and all of that, and that creates a a big impression. You see, like it's also about like if you use something, if it's pretty, you will be automatically, if it's looking good, if it's अच्छा लग रहा है दिखने में and all of that, you'll be automatically attracted to that thing and you'll be like, okay, I should use it, maybe I should try it. If your first impression is going to be like, okay, ये चीज़ आगे पीछे हो रही है and all of that, people are not going to read it, right? So I feel like design education here helps a lot. But at the same time, I also have this contrary opinion that a lot of things that I learned during my design education, I don't apply it here. I don't apply it in my practical life. You learn as you go. You basically you learn on the fly. So in my design education, I was never taught that is tarah baat karni hai. Like soft skills, I was never taught that. So you basically learn those soft skills as you grow as a person in the company or whatever. So here, design education does not help. And how you also approach a problem, design education will somewhat help, but also somewhat the kind of person that you are, either you're jumping to conclusion, either you're not jumping to conclusion, but understanding the problem first and then coming with the solutions, how you come up with the solutions. So I have a very mixed review of design education should be there or not. And I feel like, okay, even if it's not there, you can always teach yourself. If you are starting new, you can always teach yourself, okay, left align karna hai, ye karna hai, because there are a lot of videos out there, about visual design and everything. So I have a very much mixed review. Yes, university has helped me a lot in learning all of these things, in some tools and all of that. But at the same time, now I feel like everything is just growing and everything is just out there for you, and AI is there and everything. It's just helping you a lot. Use these tools and just present yourself in a certain manner. So I have very mixed reviews here.
Awesome. Just a quick question, by the way. When you mentioned CV, do you actually mean the CV or do you mean the portfolio? Because both of them plays a lot.
So okay, so like I would ask that question to you again. Like if you are in a managerial position, like someone applies to you, आप पहले जाके portfolio तो नहीं देखते ना. You land on their CV first, on their resume first, correct? Or their LinkedIn.
Yeah.
How they. Yeah, go ahead.
नहीं, मेरी approach थोड़ी सी अलग होती है. The reason for that is because again because of the ATS and all, now the generic CV format is there even for the designers who sometimes do not qualify for the role, but they still have ATS CVs. तो आप उसका कुछ नहीं कर सकते because now everybody knows. ये again it's my perspective. Everybody knows कि ATS friendly CVs कैसे बनानी है. So CVs I won't judge them for the role. मैं उनके portfolio पे जाऊँगा because that's where I can get the personality out of them.
Yes. So but then I have experienced कि भाई ATS CVs भी नहीं आ रही. ऐसी सीवीज आ रही है जो टेढ़ी मेढ़ी हुई भी है, तो मैं उनके पोर्टफोलियो तक तो जाती भी नहीं हूँ. मैं उनकी सीवीज पे ही इनको छोड़ देती हूँ. ओके फाइन, ठीक है, अगर एटीएस फ्रेंडली सीवी है देन आई विल मेक श्योर कि ओके ठीक है, ओके आई शुड लुक एट द पोर्टफोलियो फॉर विजुअल पर्पसेस बिकॉज एटलीस्ट एवरीथिंग इज जस्ट to the point and I don't have to struggle to understand this person, right? So I have mixed reviews here too. Okay, I understand that there are ATSers, CVs and all of that, but the fact that you are making an effort to use ATS CVs is also speaks volumes about what kind of a person you're, how passionate you are to apply, how passionate you're about these things, correct? So that also matters here.
Yeah, makes sense. So the point was to ask is more of if design education is helpful. Again, you have mentioned in a very brief manner, बहुत अच्छे तरीके से you explained के how would you select or maybe at least see a person that qualifies for the role or not.
Yes.
So that's awesome. So yeah, when it comes to expressing yourself, right? So portfolios plays a lot of the role, right? So what do you think कि किस तरह का portfolio has way more sense in order to communicate your personality as well as your work, because it's very difficult to have a good balance between your personality and the work you want to show. Because if you see ज़्यादा तो नहीं, but majority of the use cases में either that's too much of a personality and there's a lot of less about work, and in the other extremes there are a lot of work but there is no personality of them being shown within the portfolio. So पहली तो ये चीज़ है कि how would you suggest or recommend to have a nice balance between personality in your portfolio and of course the work?
Okay. First of all, I have to say that portfolio is a very dangerous question because when it comes to new designer creating a portfolio, you are just so you're so perfectionist at it that you're just like, okay, ye bhi sahi hai, ye bhi sahi hai, ye bhi sahi hai, I should do this, I should do that, and you can't come to a decision, and you can't. There was a point in time like I had to basically push myself. Okay, you should not think about it. You should not just do it, and all of that. So you see, and I myself am struggling a lot to strike this balance. Okay, how much do I show of myself? How much what work should I show? How do I present this work? And also, for me, again, I'm also learning as we go, as I move forward in my role and as move forward in my career. But what I've learned basically up till now is that, again, as you said, there should be a balance of both. It's not like, अच्छा ठीक है, आपने सारे काम दिखा दिए, बड़े monotonous से आपने काम दिखा दिए, but उस काम के अंदर आपने अपना like your hint of what you thought, what your insights were. Because again, I feel like, this is my personal opinion, I feel like whatever solutions that you give, it's already out there. Like you're not thinking something new. You're not rebuilding the wheel. Okay, it is out there. It is how you present it and how you persuade people. That is what that matters. And half of our job is all about persuading people, and half of our job is all about how you phrase things, how you phrase your problems, how you phrase your solutions. Okay, so starting with work and how you basically show all of that. Again, for people who I mean, I also struggled a lot with this, that when I was applying to different companies, I didn't have a job, so like I didn't have any works to show and all of that. So I was like, okay, मैं क्या दिखाऊंगी portfolio में? How will they know me? How will they see कि मेरी problem solving skills क्या है? So I would just wait for a longer period of time. I was just waiting कि अच्छा मुझे कोई काम मिल जाए, then I add it to my portfolio, and then they see कि अच्छा ये all of that. But then I realized, okay, no, I can't wait on that. I basically looked around different problems and I started finding solutions for it. And what really helped me was how I document those problems, because at the end of the day, yes, visuals matters, yes, वो सब चीजें matter करती है, but how you are approaching that problem and how you are solving that problem really matters. So yeah, and again, also the people who's looking at your portfolio, who's viewing your portfolio, is not a designer. There can be, yes, there are chances कि वो designer भी होगा, but there are also chances जिनके कभी company में कोई designer है ही नहीं, तो वो आपको basically interview करेंगे, correct? And ज़्यादातर chances यही होते हैं आपके कि आपको पहले HR interview कर रहा होता है, फिर ये बाकी लोग interview कर रहे होते हैं, correct? So you also have to, again, you have to empathize, as I said earlier, you have to empathize here with the people who are actually viewing our portfolio, that there are chances that they might not understand your design language. They might not understand what you're speaking. It might make sense to you. It might make sense to another designer. But not every person has your design language. And again, not every person has a coding language. Not every person has a business language, correct? So everyone has a different language. So yeah, so it's all about how you phrase things. And if you are able to strike that balance where you are able to explain someone who does not know you, has never met you personally, if you are able to explain your design solutions according to, in terms of how the business outcomes and human stories, if you're able to strike that balance, I feel like that basically has helped me a lot now. Because मैं पहले बहुत so I basically learned कि पहले मैं बहुत इस तरह लेती थी. Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, this is working because the layout is much cleaner. As a business person, उसको क्या पता कि layout clean क्या होता है? उसको क्या पता कि अच्छा ये अच्छा clutter क्या होता है, नहीं होता? Then I realized that I have to understand what value I'm providing in terms of business, in terms of success metrics, because these people हर किसी का success metrics बहुत matter करता है, correct? Business लोगों के लिए it's all about business and getting things done and shipping fast and all of that. For us, we all think about user empathy, testing, UI and all of that, correct? Now you have to basically strike that balance. Okay, you have to tell people, okay, I did X, so मैंने ये X किया, that led to Y. For example, this flow works because if this flow failed and this flow cost us conversions. If you do this will lead to this much revenue and this will lead to more conversions. So you see, now we're talking in their language. Now we're basically telling them, okay, I can impact it, I can provide value here and all of that. So if you're able to strike that balance here, I feel like that that really helps you stand out. And secondly, the thing where you're like adding a touch of your personality, hint of your personality, that really matters, because again, you are not working with robots, and then you're working with humans, and everybody has a distinct personality. Everybody has, their own, उनकी हर किसी की अपनी personalities होती हैं, correct? So you have to somewhere show the hint of your personality there through maybe your words, or maybe how you introduce yourself, through maybe in a fun manner or in a very serious manner, whatever the kind of person you are, it should just reflect through your portfolio. So it is, and I'm still struggling to strike that balance. I'm not going to lie. I'm still struggling. But I feel like there are a lot of tools out there. ChatGPT can help you a lot, basically help building your portfolio and all of that. So, yeah.
Awesome. So that's a very brief answer, और बहुत interesting takes भी हैं इसमें, बहुत ज़्यादा insights भी हैं इसमें. इसी में जो like मेरे mind में question आ रहा है, वो कुछ इस तरह का आ रहा है कि these are all the things जो कि जिसमें you can actually measure the impact of what you did, right?
Yeah.
Even if though कि इसमें कोई real life, अगर let's suppose project नहीं भी था, people who are starting out, they don't have maybe the real life project, so what they can do is, again, either they can actually see the problem around them and then build a solution, or they can actually take the existing solution, like also include in their portfolio, and give them the updated or maybe more feasible solution.
Yes.
So that's awesome. ठीक है, ये measurable impact है. But what if the impact that you created is not measurable? तो उसको like how would you show it?
Measurable, correct?
Let me give you an example. For that, you will have like a bit more context. So in Pakistan, there are very less product-based companies.
Yes.
Majority of the software houses are probably service-based. So designers who are working there, the project managers or maybe any kind of stakeholders of that project, could be clients, could be project managers, could be business development executives or maybe associates. They come up with the requirement. Designers has to build the solution.
Right? Yes.
And then they will hand it over it to the stakeholders, and then it can go to the engineering side of it. Mm-hmm. Now, when you are working on a product, okay, so you know that this solution was existed. मैंने ये चीज़ pitch की, तो अब इससे ये जो like कोई friction थी वो कम होगी. So now this onboarding time या aha moment का जो time है वो कम कर दिया हमने. So now user is getting better value at this much pace, ठीक है, or he or she has the productivity boost because of the execution time of their tasks. So it could be anything, right? So these are measurable. But once the project is handed over, you don't have any sort of insights of that. What will happen to the project? It could be shelved. You don't know about it anything because you just hand it over, right? Mm-hmm. So how in this scenario you don't have a particular thing to measure? So how are you going to measure it?
So I would disagree here a bit, and I'm not sure if this makes sense to you or not. But like when you said, we're done with the project and you hand it over, I actually just don't hand it over. I actually be a part of the process where it's taken to the end, and all of that. So I am part of that process, and I feel like you, as a designer, you should be a part of the process. You should not be like, okay, मैंने ये बना दिया, मैंने ये कर दिया, okay, मेरा job खत्म हो गया. नहीं, it's all about how you collaborate with these people. It's all about, and a lot of times I've basically experienced is that whatever solution that I've come up with, जब development process में लगता था, वो solutions आगे पीछे हो जाते हैं. Like it's just not like what you think will work. You get it? Edge cases आते हैं, and there are times that you will miss these edge cases, and I still miss those edge cases because again, you are a human being. It's okay. Like you might miss it because not every brain thinks the same, correct? Yeah. So there will have been times where I faced some edge cases, and I have not considered some edge cases, and my developer has been like, Manu, did you think of it? Did you think about this? And also the technical aspects of it. हम designers तो बना देते हैं, हम technical aspects सोचना भूल जाते हैं, ठीक है? And now I've basically made this practice in mind कि like I keep these developers in loop all the time because मैं technical aspects में मार नहीं खाना चाहती कि okay, like once I'm done with the solution और वो solution reject हो गया because of the technical feasibility and all of that. So you see, so as a designer, you should just not be once you're done designing, you should not be just be like, I'm done. Like even if this project is done like to the point where you have now ship it and your users are using it, I feel like still you should use that. You should look at the solution again. You should yourself use as a user. Okay, is this making sense or not? And half of the time, it also does not make sense. I still see some flaws. I still see like, okay, no, this is what I should have done here. I should not. And because you see, हमारा एक project, sort of, I can talk about myself. हमारा एक project 2 weeks का होता है, correct? You only have 2 weeks to problem solution. It's also because it's an iterative space, and you're not working in a startup and everything. It's just constantly, it's so fast. So you forget to take a step back and see your solution. You forget to take a step back and see this solution from a very larger perspective, and how that solution will कहाँ वो इम्पैक्ट कर सकता है, ये हम करना भूल जाते हैं. हम लोग एक फीचर के अंदर घुस जाते हैं और उस फीचर का कहाँ इम्पैक्ट होगा वो करना भूल जाते हैं हम. There's a tunnel vision there. You can't do it. And so it is very important, and I've also made this practice that, once I'm done with that solution, once I hand it over, once that solution is shipped and all of that, sometimes it won't be measurable, sometimes it won't be measurable, but the thing is, I keep myself in the shoes of the user. I start from the very start. I start from the very first part of the flow. It's not कि मैं सिर्फ वो feature use कर रही हूँ, मैं वो flow start करती हूँ, and then see if it's making sense or not. Then I see okay, कौन से gaps हैं जो मैं fill कर सकती हूँ, कहाँ ये feature impact कर रहा है. And there will be times where I keep forgetting stuff. I keep on like, okay, this doesn't work here, this doesn't work there. But then again, coming to your point, you should not just be like, okay, I'm done with the solution. You have to be part of this process as a designer.
See, that honestly that makes sense, a lot of sense again in the product spaces. Okay, when you actually go through the whole product cycle, just when
Yes.
you are the part of probably from the ideation stage to even the launch stage, even after that as well, because you
Yes.
are now monitoring it with the PM, with the developers. Ke acha, now what kind of feedback are we expecting from the users or customers and all that. और फिर you can like again backtrack, retrospect and decide कि अब इस चीज़ को बेहतर कैसे किया जा सकता है. बट इन सर्विस बेसिस यू डोंट हैव दैट लिबर्टी, बिकॉज आपको आपके टास्क बताएंगे, यू डिलीवर दोज टास्क्स. नाउ यू डोंट नो द प्रोडक्ट, वेयर डज दिस प्रोजेक्ट गो, क्योंकि अब आपके पास एक और प्रोजेक्ट है जिसको आपने अगेन डिलीवर करना. तो सर्विस स्पेस में दिस इज़ द सॉर्ट ऑफ lack of transparency जिसकी मैं बात कर रहा हूँ कि you don't have like that liberty to actually measure the impact again, because आपने एक प्रोजेक्ट डिलीवर कर दिया. डिलीवर करने से मेरा मतलब ये है कि you have 3 weeks, ठीक है, you delivered whatever you have been required to do, ठीक है, and then they give you another project. So you don't have actually the clarity or the visibility of that कि जो चीज़ आपने डिज़ाइन में डिलीवर कर दी. डिलीवर करने से अगेन पॉइंट ये नहीं कि अब मेरे से कोई लेना देना नहीं, मैं डिसोन कर दिया इसको, राइट. वो चीज़ नहीं है, बट इट्स मोर ऑफ लाइक यू द रोल दैट यू बीन रिक्वायर्ड फॉर, यू हैव डन इट. अब उससे आगे प्रोजेक्ट अगेन क्लाइंट्स के पास है. आपको नहीं पता होता कि क्लाइंट इसका क्या करेगा, डेवलप भी करवाएगा कि नहीं करवाएगा, शेल्फ कर देगा, छोड़ देगा, भूल जाएगा, यू नेवर नो. ठीक है, उस चीज़ की मैं बात करते हैं कि यू डोंट हैव एक्चुअली लिबर्टी टू एक्चुअली मेजर दैट काइंड ऑफ इम्पैक्ट जो कि आप प्रोडक्ट बेस पे करते हो. उसमें तो डेफिनेटली यू आर द पार्ट ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट, उसमें तो यू आर partially the product manager as well, you are sort of the stakeholder of the development as well, क्योंकि अब again वो उन सारी चीज़ों में आपका लेना देना होता है. So yeah, सही है, that makes sense. So you talked about the tunnel vision side of it, कि you actually whenever you are doing something, so you go in so much depth that sometimes you नहीं, मतलब ये हर डिज़ाइनर की कहानी है sort of, so we are sort of in the same pain. तो whenever you are like too much engaged in a process or in sort of pursuit of doing some things for the users, so you actually you actually miss out on a lot of things, right?
Yes.
और वो चीज़ अगेन जैसे कि आपने पहले भी बताया कि कभी कभी डेवलपर बता रहा होता है आपको, कभी पीएम बता रहा होता है, कभी क्यूए बता रहा होता है कि यू मिस्ड दैट, इसको फिक्स कर दें या जो भी. ठीक है, तो बिफोर दे इवन टेल यू कि ये चीज़ है, हाउ डू यू कम अप विद कि अच्छा ये मिस्टेक है तो यहाँ पे नहीं होनी चाहिए थी, इसको तो मैं ठीक कर लेती हूँ, या ये मिस्टेक है, क्योंकि अगेन वो चीज़ आपने 100 दफ़ा देख लिया. ऐसा पॉसिबल बहुत हाई चांसेस हैं कि यू एक्चुअली सी और पैडिंग ऑफ है लेकिन आपको ठीक लग रही है बिकॉज यू हैव बीन सीइंग इट अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम, राइट. तो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ एक्सरसाइज डू यू प्रैक्टिस के जिसमें यू एक्चुअली कम अप विद अगेन दिस काइंड ऑफ मिस्टेक्स जो कि आपने किए हैं एंड देन यू मेक इट राइट.
Okay. That's also a very interesting question because मैं ये mistakes आज तक करती हूँ, ठीक है, and I'm not ashamed to say कि हाँ मेरी कभी कभी पैडिंग कम हो जाती है, हेडिंग में क्या यूज कर रही होती हूँ and all of that. So there are two things that I do. अगर I'll basically divide my answer into two parts, UI and UX wise. Okay, start with UI. What I basically do is that we have a design system in place. Okay, there have been companies जहाँ पे design system नहीं होता था, and there are chances कि जब system नहीं होता ना, you keep on messing with things and अच्छा मुझे आज ये visual में ये अच्छा लग रहा है तो मैं ये डाल देता हूँ, ये अच्छा लग रहा है तो ये डाल देती हूँ, and all of that, correct? And it's very difficult for you to stay consistent. So having a design system, and even if it's not there, like company-wide design system nahi hai, so what really helps is that you create a design system for yourself personally. Like aapne kahin document kiya hua ho कि okay, if I'm using primary button and secondary button together, I will always use it on right and primary button right पे and secondary button left पे. I mean, depends on कि आपने क्या करना है, but there should be one एक हो documented somewhere. Maybe it's not going to be like, oh, there's a proper design system in Figma. You should have your own own personal documentation. It's not going to be like it's structured hai ki nahi hai, whatever. You should have that, and that is one thing that I practiced when I basically came into this company. There was no design system. Okay, so I had to make sure I'm not making these issues and all together. But still, I made those issues. So another thing that I basically do is when I'm done with my designing, when I'm done with visual design, I show it to my team. I basically give them the file. I go and be like, listen, this is something that I've been working on, and you haven't seen it for a while now, and your eyes can really help me point it out that ye masla hai, ye masla nahi, and all of that. And it's just not okay, I give it to PMs or I give it to designers only. And also, if you are in a manager role, also it's okay if you give your designs to someone who's you are basically managing, because वो भी ऐसे points पकड़ सकते हैं जो आपको शायद नहीं पता. So that is what my practice is. I give it to my PM, I give it to someone who I manage, and then I also give it to the developers too. I make sure कि मैं उनको दिखाऊं, because they can pinpoint to me and be like, listen, यहाँ पे आप नया component लेके आए, listen, you can use this component यहाँ पे भी, you don't have to invent the wheel again, you can use this here again, ठीक है? यहाँ पे आप heading में थोड़ी आपने वो स्पेसिंग ऑफ कर दी है, हमारी हेडिंग तो ऐसी नहीं होती है. सो आई मेक श्योर आई गेट दैट फीडबैक फ्रॉम डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ स्टेक होल्डर्स, डिजाइनर्स, पीएम्स एंड टेक्निकल कोडर्स एंड सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर्स. इनके पास में जाके इनको दिखा देती हूँ कि आप लोग एक बार रिव्यू कर दो. सो दिस रियली हेल्प्स मी आउट विजुअल डिजाइन वाइज. UX wise, what helps me out is that I do constant user testing. It's not like I have मैं proper sessions बनाऊंगी और user testing और script बनाऊंगी and all of that. No, I grab two people. I will like, listen, you use this, you use that. Which one is making sense? Which one is not making sense? A/B testing on the fly करती रहती हूँ. And I use AI a lot because I work in an AI company. I use AI a lot. So what really helps me is I give my solutions to AI and I be like, listen, as a user, you tell me where I'm lacking. You tell me where I should, focus on. UI wise, is it like readability issues to nahi aa rahe, accessibility issues to nahi aa rahe, and all of that. UX wise, it makes sense or not. So you are a user, you use it and you tell me where I can basically fill in those gaps and make my solution viable, all of that. So these are three practices. I give it to AI, I give it to my peers around, and I do constant user testing a lot.
And when you say user testing, do you have actually the exposure of the actual users?
Yes, sometimes no. So it depends on the feature that I'm working on. If it's a very small feature, we don't include users. If it's a very big feature that we're basically going to introduce or that client has basically asked for us, so हम उसमें user test उनको पहले involve करेंगे rather than people who are around us. So
yeah. Makes sense. Because again ये एक वो चीज़ है जो कि eventually product companies में होती है कि like we sort of do internal testing first and then we actually go out. But आपको नहीं लगता कि उसमें biases भी होते हैं, like they are actually like aware of the context, so they couldn't be the power users or maybe the normal users, because again they वो जब आपको नहीं कहते ना एक चीज़ जो ये जो वर्ड है ना testing, when you say testing तो फिर everybody who is using it is sort of testing it to the abilities. अब वो चीज़ normal user नहीं करता. Like for example, if you use any sort of, let's suppose you use Instagram, ठीक है?
Yes.
Daily you probably be using your feed, your DM section.
Yes.
बहुत हो गया तो किसी हद तक प्रोफाइल सेक्शन.
Yes.
या एक्सप्लोर सेक्शन. बट यू वॉन्ट इवन चेक के एक्सप्लोर सेक्शन के अंदर फिल्टर्स हैं कि नहीं, क्या वो काम भी करते हैं कि नहीं, ज़रा मैं सारे वो उसको थोड़ा सा इंटरेक्ट करके देखूँ कि कहाँ पे फटता है कि नहीं. सो वो चीज़ व्हेन यू से कि यार इसको टेस्ट करके देखो, तो जो इंटरनल टेस्टिंग होती है वो एक्चुअली सॉर्ट ऑफ उसको प्रॉपरली टेस्ट करने लग जाते हैं कि यार. तो हाउ डज इवन इफ दैट्स हेल्पफुल और नॉट, तो ये मुझे बता दें कि लाइक इज इट हेल्पफुल इन अ सेंस के आपके यूज़ केसेस भी कवर हो गए बट यू एक्चुअली नो मोर देन इनफ नाउ कि आपको ये चीज़ें भी फिक्स करनी है समटाइम्स. और हो भी सकता है कि अगेन बिकॉज ऑफ द बाइसेस हो सकता है वो यूज़ केस कभी आए भी ना.
Yes.
right? So like how do you balance that?
So, the one thing, and when you said, when you do, I'm sorry for this once again. Let me just turn off my WhatsApp. But yeah, okay. So, when you said that, like internal user testing jo hoti hai, that's all that also create biasness. But so my PM says one thing that I really like, और वो कहता है कि I use this flow in order to break it. I will break it. I will. I don't use it like oh I want to do happy flow because you see users के आप behavior को assume नहीं कर सकते कि अच्छा यही करेगा वो यही चीज यहीं जाएगा कैसे हद तक आप assume कर सकते हो but they are unpredictable like they can do anything. So you see internal UAT like user testing really helps us a lot because sometimes you get to understand okay ये तो हमने सोचा ही नहीं ये तो व्हाट इफ दिस हैपेंस एंड ये इसका इम्पैक्ट तो यहाँ पे भी ये हमने नहीं सोचा अच्छा अगर इस तरह की एज केस आ गई तो क्या एंड देयर आर टाइम्स व्हेन यू मिस आउट ऑन थिंग्स देयर आर बिकॉज अगेन यू हैव अ टनल विजन यू कांट think about each and every edge case. So that really helps a lot. But then again, sometimes I've also faced issues where I have seen, okay, I don't like it because it's not working for me. Then there is a biasness coming in. Then there is like, okay, but I really ये ऐसे करते हमें भी ऐसे करना चाहिए and all of that. So यहाँ पे biasness आती है and this is where you pick and choose your battles and you're like, okay, do I want to entertain this bias? Do I feel like and okay and it's not like you so there have been some times where bias is so and I just don't go with the approach okay ये bias हो रहा है no I really try to understand कि okay where is this person coming from क्या thought process है is this problem that he's actually facing and all of that and you when you talk to them when you have conversations with them you then realize अच्छा okay ये bias हो रहा है ये नहीं हो रहा है if you go with the mindset कि अच्छा ये bias ही हो रहा है तो then you'll always be like हाँ ये bias हो रहा है but if you go with the mindset that okay if this is making sense or not if your actual problem user problem है कि नहीं है and one thing that I basically that helps me center myself as a designer is that I always go back to the problem statement this was my problem statement am I achieving this if yes good if not then there are some things that I should fix so that is how I manage it
awesome सही है so again being designers there are two school of thoughts first who focuses on the usability a lot and they say कि visuals कोई बहुत ज़्यादा matter नहीं करते usability is something जो कि जिस पे हमें focus करना चाहिए and then there is other school of thought that actually states that के visuals are also very important right so to keep the visuals right here to improve your visuals what kind of exercises do you do
okay exercises that I do again as I said before I follow my design system I follow what's there but design system is your source of you have to follow it in order to get consistency another thing that I basically use a lot is again talking to showing my designs to a lot of my peers who are actually working very closely with me because there's some things that I might miss कभी मैंने कैपिटलाइजेशन कर दी जहाँ पे मुझे हर चीज लाइक माय एंटायर हेडिंग वाज लाइक कैपिटलाइजेशन कर देते हो आप बिकॉज यू टाइप नॉर्मली ना या व्हेन यू एडिंग ऑल द टेक्स्ट एंड आई जस्ट फॉर अ लॉन्गेस्ट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम आई वाज लाइक ये क्या है लाइक व्हाई आर पीपल लाइक कमेंटिंग ऑन माय कैपिटलाइजेशन है कि नहीं है बट देन आई रियलाइज तो कि नहीं इट हेल्प्स कंसिस्टेंसी बहुत मैटर करती है ऑल ऑफ दैट सो आस्किंग अदर पीपल टू कमेंट ऑन योर डिजाइन एंड ऑल्सो taking that feedback is how you take that feedback is very important like they're not commenting on you they're not commenting on how the kind of a person you are the kind of designer you are they're just commenting on the visual so how you take that feedback is also very important so as and we all have fallen into the trap also ना हमने पर्सनली चीजें ली हैं कि क्यों बोल रहे हैं क्या है इस तरह क्या है all of that but then at the end of the day I basically again I centered myself कि it's not about me it's not about the person who's giving the feedback it's all about the people who are going to use this and people are going to live with the solution so if you're not doing your job properly and if they are facing any problems then you're not doing your job properly right so one thing that I basically do is कि मैं बहुत लोगों को अपना डिजाइन सिखाती हूँ बहुत लोगों को मैं बोलती हूँ कि देख लो make sure कि मैंने सब चीजें करनी की नहीं है and this thing ChatGPT really helps me a lot he's my best friend ChatGPT is my best friend like उसको मैंने दिखाया हुआ है हमारा डिजाइन सिस्टम ये है उसको मैंने बताया हुआ है कि this is how our visual design look like just tell me if it's working or not if I am following the design system or not so yeah and also one thing that also helped me, because you see, like visual design is all about like also being intuitive and bringing in new things. UX तो चलो आप होते हैं ना कि अच्छा ठीक है ये लोग ऐसे कर रहे हैं हम भी ऐसे कर लेते हैं, all of that, you know. UI you have to be intuitive, you have to be creative and all of that, but also you have to strike a balance where you are creative but at the same time being in your design system boundaries and not crossing them, no? So again, just what really helps me a lot is that जो मेरी design inspirations है मैं उनमें stick through करती हूँ क्योंकि I am following them. So ये लोग किस तरह कर रहे हैं, I will also do the same thing. So yeah, that is these 4 or 5 exercises really help me out to be like in the visual design perspective.
Nice. So who are your favorite designers then?
I don't have a favorite designer though. Again, as I said before,
Yeah.
like I don't have specific things, but I like specific products. I like Apple. Apple is my favorite, you know, go-to inspirations for it. Airbnb is my go-to inspirations. Like recently chat मेरा नया inspiration बन गया कि like वो इसकी जो नई agent modes आए and all of that, it's just become my inspiration now. So I don't have a specific designer, but I have specific these small inspirations that I can go back, I can, you know, learn.
Awesome. Awesome. So speaking of the hard skills, I think now it's time to actually discuss or maybe spot a light on the soft skills as well. So there are multiple modes of like improving the soft skills, right? Either through communicating or through meeting new people, or again वो काम भी बहुत आते हैं. So I hope you've been to the design meetups or any kind of meetups or events, right? So what do you think? Should designers actually participate in these kind of events, and how can they extract the maximum value out of it?
Okay. For the longest period of time, I also thought that design meetups are just a waste of time because I don't have time and energy to meet new people, you know, all of that. But then I recently went to this web summit, Qatar, and when I went into that space, I realized that, okay, I am losing out on a lot of stuff. So yeah, first of all, design meetups to छोड़ दो, ये एक international meetup है where a lot of companies are coming in and presenting their solutions and, you know, meeting new people and all of that. It was a very, very, very overwhelming experience for me. Yes, because you see, like, आप interviews में you talk to people. Yes, you just interview is a 1 hour thing. Like, you know, you go there prepared. अच्छा ये questions आएंगे interview में, इस तरह का structure होगा. You know, एक general idea हो जाता है कि अच्छा, okay, this is what it's going to be. But these design meetups and these international meetups, it is for me, it was a very overwhelming experience. I did not know, and I can always like tell you from mistakes that I did. I did not know how to sell myself, how to package myself, how to talk to people and, you know, go meet up to them and, you know, also understanding them, understanding their problem, and also how to basically show how can you add the value into their problems. So I basically went into the perspective that, okay, I am going to sell myself, you know, like I will show them I am a good designer. And, you know, that led to me basically ignoring during these conversations. So I started ignoring their problems and started selling myself that, okay, I do this, I do that, and all of that. And, you know, that was and over time, in the first day, I realized, okay, this is not helping, this is not, ye cheez makes sense nahi kari, people are not interested in my work and all of that. Second day, I realized, because it was 3-day summit, right? So second day, I realized that, no, I cannot approach people with, you know, how good designer I am. Okay? I have to approach people with, okay, what are the problems they are facing? वो लोग किन चीज़ों में उनको basically they're lacking, where I can provide value, where I can show, where I can basically be a good addition to their team, or, you know, not even to a team, it's just like have a conversation with them and, you know, maybe I can just tell them a solution that they can use. So then I basically started approaching people like through the mindset that, okay, I will first listen to them, their problem, what are the solutions that they are basically providing, and how can I basically provide more solutions so that they can basically, you know, do better. So that really helped me out, because then at the end of the day, people were looking at it, okay, I can provide this value here, and this is my expertise here. And another thing that I learned is that you cannot be expert at everything. You can be, I do this too, I do that too, I do this. No, what is your niche? What do you excel in? What are you expert at? Some people are expert at conversion. Some people are expert at UI. Some people are expert at different aspects of things. So you have to basically target those people there, and you have to see, okay, I can provide value here, and this person might not work out with me too, and it's okay. Not everybody will be like, oh, we need you. You are a good designer. We want you. No. You have to pick and choose your people. And during that event, I also there was a design meetup too somewhere, like all the designers were gathering there. I did not know that. Someone told me this is a design meetup happening in this booth, you should go and all of that. So I was very overwhelmed because I've never been to a design meetups. I don't know how to, because you're in a corporate setting, अच्छा ठीक है अपने designers का फेरो डिजाइन का ये बात करनी. But designers who out of that corporate scenario, what do you do? What do you talk? How do you interact with them? So when I went to that booth, I was just sitting alone for a while. I was just like, okay, I don't know how to interact with people. I don't know how to start a conversation with people. And then, but then, people were nice enough. They came to me and they started having a conversation with me, and I realized, okay, wow, there have been people in this space जो पहले designer रह चुके हैं, फिर ये भी बन गए. अच्छा उनकी क्या learnings थी? अच्छा ये लोग design किस तरह approach करते हैं? I also learned different things in design जो मैंने कभी सोची नहीं थी. कि मैं हमेशा सोचती थी अच्छा ये problems है, मैं कभी उन लोग की तरह मैंने कभी सोचा नहीं था. All of that. So I learned that a lot. So yes, design meetups really help understanding, okay, what kind of people are existing out there, what kind of solutions they are coming up with, how can you learn from them? And there might be some times where you will be in a conversation where you're like, okay, I don't understand anything, I am not getting anything out of it, but it's okay. At least you met someone, you basically made a new connection out there.
Yeah.
Okay? That really helped me out because unke connections ke through mere aur connections banna shuru and all of that, and they pinpointed to me certain directions. So listen, you're good at this, why don't you do this, why don't you do that, why don't you learn something like this? So this design meetups, at first I thought were not helpful at all, but now I feel like they are helpful, and I should make an active effort of also going to design meetups, which I don't do because again I have a job and all of that. So yeah.
Awesome. So that brings me to probably the second last thing of this conversation, and that is, what do you think? The designers currently who are actually stepping into the world of design professionally, or people who are looking for work, what is the roadmap or maybe a blueprint for them to actually follow to get a work? At least what can they do to actually find works or stuff like that. So if they are looking for any kind of work, so how can they get the work they want to do?
So there are actually three things that I would tell them. Number one, if you're starting someone who's very new to this design field, stop obsessing over tools. Stop obsessing over how will I learn this tool, whether I'll be able to learn this tool or not. What is the process that I should take? Stop obsessing over learning these tools and start obsessing over the problems and how you approach that problem, because that is what matters. Anybody can learn a tool. Some people will learn it fast, some people will learn it slow, but it is okay. They learn it, right? What sets great designers apart from normal designers is that how they approach problem solving, how they approach, how they look at the problem, and how they phrase that problem. So once you pinpoint to that, once you reach to that problem, then the second part is how you communicate that problem. That is what that matters. How you have to communicate it clearly, and again you have to empathize with the people. So again, you are only communicating it through your portfolio. You are only communicating it through a website, okay, and through text. This person does not know you. This person does not know you personally. Usko nahi pata ki, like, oh, this person also thinks like this too, correct? So it's all about, and half of our job is all about persuasion, and half of our job is all about collaboration with other people. So if you can strike a balance between how you can basically how basically communicate your language into business outcomes and human stories, I feel like we're doing a good job there. And third thing is that I would just be like, and this is something that I'm also struggling with again, you have to be comfortable with ambiguity. Design rarely has a single correct answer. It is all about, it is subjective. It is not about, you don't have to take things personally. It's not about you. It's not about people who are giving feedback. It's about people who are using your solutions, people who will use this every day. You have to think about them. and we've all fallen trap to this. We've all, when we've started, we've cried about it, and I've cried about it a lot. I still cry about it when I get harsh feedback, and it's okay because I'm also human. But then you have to learn to create that distinction that it's not about you, it's about them. So, and then fourth thing that I would just tell them, that you don't need a job, or you don't need a company, or you don't need a title to start. You just, if you don't have, because eventually you will get a job, everybody lands a job. You have, if you have that skill, you have that willpower to do it, you will do it, you will get a job. But what matters is that the time period where you're not getting the job, what are you doing? And in that time period, you have to basically look at the problems around there, even if it's the smallest problem, even if it's like the redesign of a certain app, a UI, and all of that. You do that and you document the process, because that is what your portfolio will show, and that is what I feel like, and how you approach that problem. So how you approach that problem, how did you solve it? That is what matters. Then even if you don't belong to a company, even if you don't have a job, I feel like when a person is looking there to hire you, they just don't look at कि okay, हाँ पहले देखते थे डिग्री है कि नहीं है, अच्छा इस कहाँ कहाँ काम किया है, नहीं, अगर वो उसको सोचना आता है, उसको समझना आता है, then I feel like it set you apart. So it's one thing that I would just say.
Makes sense. Awesome. And to end this conversation, do you have any questions for me?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me here, and I hope I did well.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, yeah, it was an amazing conversation. Thank you for coming up. And of course, people who will watch this episode will definitely have some value. Thank you so much, Manur, for coming.
Thank you, Asad, for inviting me and giving me this honor of, and for me to just give my 2 cents here and, just talk about design. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
No problems. All right. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.